Hello and welcome to the Gaily Planet, The Final Frontier, a podcast where two queer nerds talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation. I am Lark Malachi Gray.
And I am Jesse Blount, and today we are talking about episode 4 of season 3, Who Watches the Watchers?
We are. And this is an episode with like a lot to talk about. So we're going to keep this, before we get into it, really short. Happy Pride. We're still doing a bunch of really, really cool stuff for Pride. Go to #ruthless.com or click the link in the show notes. That's easier to see all of the stuff that we're doing. Make sure you don't miss any of it. It's great. You want to participate.
Yeah, and don't forget you can buy Pride merch from us made by queer people. So yeah, that's always great.
Yep, including stuff that's only available in the month of June. So don't miss it. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to do my summary. So now I'm going to let you all know that we have made the decision that since we can't seem to avoid talking about the horrors because it's relevant, but also we want to be kind to your nervous systems, we are going to start inserting the red alert sound effect before the horrors conversations. And then you can just real quick look in the show notes to be like, what kind of the horrors are you talking about? Do I need to skip that? And it'll have timestamps so you can just hit your 30 seconds advance button until you have passed it if you don't want to listen to us talk about AI or, fascism.
And any contemporary horrors, of which there are many. So
yeah, we're going to start doing that for you, and hopefully that will be nice and helpful. Even if you do decide to listen, you'll at least be braced. We won't jump scare your nervous system. So all right, so now I'm going to do my summary. So in this episode, the Enterprise is going to put it's not a generator, it's basically a generator, and this like duck blind where these anthropologists have set up in Joshua Tree to watch this like Bronze Age civilization, like proto-Vulcan civilization. They're doing anthropologist stuff. But their generator's broken down, and so their hollow field that hides their duck blind has broken down, and that's an emergency because then the people they're studying might learn about them, which obviously happens. And in the process of them getting found, something happens with the existing generator. Everyone gets electrocuted, the scientists first, and then one of the people from the town, village, whatever, that finds them also gets electrocuted. So everybody's up on the ship in sickbay. And that dude from the village wakes up and is like, I have been abducted by aliens / potentially gods. And they try to wipe his memory, but he's a proto-Vulcan, so obviously it doesn't work. Crazy strong brain, as Mariner says about Vulcans. So he goes back down. He's like, I was abducted by gods, and now we have to change our entire belief structure back to what it previously was before we got too smart to believe in religion. And they're trying to figure out what to do. Oh, and one of the scientists is still down there. He's injured and hiding in a cave. So Riker and Troy go down and are like, LOL, gods, you're all so silly. And everyone's like, maybe we are silly, but then they find the scientist guy in the cave and they're like, aha, we were not silly. So Riker kidnaps that guy, and then the villagers kidnap Troy, and everyone's got a hostage. And they're like, religion makes people do terrible things. For instance, sacrifice people to appease the gods. And they're going to sacrifice Troy. And then Picard is like, I got to fix this situation, but not by being a god. I got to do it by abducting another person and telling her about science. And eventually that works after a lot of effort on his part. And they go back down to the planet to get Troy. And so Picard can be like, don't believe in gods, especially not me. And everyone's like, okay. The end? Yep, I think so. Did I cover all the salient points?
You sure did.
Great.
All right. This is the captain speaking. Captain Jean-Luc Picard does not want to be your personal Jesus.
Oh, yeah. If we wouldn't get pulled off of Spotify and YouTube and whatever, I would definitely put in a clip of that song. But
yeah. So everyone just have to go to whatever music platform of your choice and listen to either the Depeche Mode version or the Johnny Cash version.
Yeah, there's not a wrong choice.
I love that song so much. I honestly,
yeah.
I love Depeche Mode, but I love Personal Jesus so much.
Yeah. Yes. So now let's get into the bridge where we talk about everything that doesn't go anywhere else.
I love how you bring up Joshua Tree in your summary, because my first thing is like, oh, they're back in the California desert.
Yeah, it's so funny. I feel like at some point, every show like this started being like, oh, we're going to an alien planet, pack up the trucks, we're going to Joshua Tree. But it is funny when it's like every away mission is, I guess they also have that weird one with like the big foam gray rocks.
Yeah, the caves. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is pretty cool because now, having been out west to be in the desert of like Utah and California, I'm like, I don't know if it's the influence of watching Star Trek my entire life where I'm like, yeah, this looks like space. Where I'm like, this makes sense to me that you'd be like, oh yeah, this looks like an alien landscape.
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah. Also, I think for millennials and older, a lot of the intricate Calvin and Hobbes comics where it would be in space in like a half-page panel, those are also clearly inspired by like the Arches National Park in Utah and other sort of out west, very spacey areas. So
yeah, good point. Okay, so my first thing here, and this, had I had time to look it up, would belong in engineering, but I did not have time to look it up, and so it's here. I'm pretty sure that, because they keep being like, oh, they're basically, Vulcans hundreds of thousands of years ago or whatever. But I am pretty sure that at this point in Vulcan history, they were like very aggressive and illogical. They developed logic to stop being like that. And I don't know if maybe they had a more peaceful period and then the aggressive colonizer whatever period happened. Someone who knows, please feel free to email us, thequeernerds@ruthless.com. But yeah, I was just like, I don't have time to like read the history of Vulcans, but I'm pretty sure this is not what they were like.
I mean, I would assume that given different planet, different situations, epigenetics, maybe these folks are progressing in a different way.
Oh, I didn't mean...
Oh.
I meant that their comparison that they kept making was not accurate, was all I meant.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just because they have similar eyebrows doesn't mean that they're like at the same point in development.
Yeah.
I think you might be wrong about Vulcan history.
Okay, that's fair. It's really, the bangs and the ears are really just like, clearly they're just like Vulcan.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay, so I was thinking about this because the scientists have a generator that cloaks them very efficiently from being seen. The generator goes out. I'm kind of like, you couldn't have a piece of cloth that goes over it in case something happens. Like there isn't a contingency if your backup and your backup fails when you're doing this like sort of very sensitive anthropological study where you're like, we literally cannot have these people know that we're here.
I know. The lack of contingency plan
it seems really irresponsible, especially since we see the pretty awful repercussions if this exact situation happens. I'm like, oh no.
I know. Yeah. Okay, so like I said in my summary, everyone, Riker and Troy beam down to do mitigation. That's their plan. They're like, we are coincidental travelers from the north, and we are here to tell you that gods are not real. But the way that they show up is very, I just kept being like, they're just like, we saw you from across the bar and we think you're insane, is basically what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe it's supposed to feel like that, but it just feels so hilariously obvious where you're just like, I know this is a very delicate interplanetary like negotiation sort of situation. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, like what a weird way to roll into town to just be like, hello. Oh, we overheard that you think religion is real. You're fucking nuts. Hey, everyone, this guy has lost his mind. And it's like, who are you?
I know.
What are you like, what? Why?
Especially because a more effective solution would have been like, has that dude been eating weird mushrooms or cactuses in the desert? Is that dude drunk? Are you? That seems really improbable, y'all.
Right. Or like, oh, we had a similar thing happen in our village when someone, I don't know, fell and hit their head or anything besides just the way that they do this. But it is so funny because they're just so intensely that meme.
Yeah, it's like, very, how do you do fellow different meme. They could have been like, this happened in our village and it turns out we were all eating spoiled rye or whatever the equivalent
Right, yes.
I love that we get a mention of Polanski, gone but not forgotten. When Crusher's like, I know Polanski tried this and it was great, but I don't know if this is going to work on these guys. And Crusher was right.
Yeah. I like that she's kind of sassy about it too. It's just because Picard's like, oh, it's been done before. And she's like, I read her notes. Like, what the fuck, Picard? Just shut up. And I was like, yeah, tell him, Crusher. All right. My last thing here is just weird. I don't know if I was like not seeing correctly, but every time they showed an arrow, it was round, like the tip was round. I was like, what kind of horrifying death are you giving to the things that you're hunting with these blunt ass arrows? Why would they look like that?
I can't tell if that's just because of the remastering, but from what I read, that's what prop arrows look like, so you don't hurt anyone in real life.
You couldn't just use a foam pointy thing?
I don't know.
You paint shiny?
I didn't notice it when I watched it on my DVD, which has a much lower resolution, so...
Interesting, okay.
Anyway, we're not recording for 2.5 hours, so...
We're not. Not today. What else do you have here?
I guess this is another one of me being like, interesting that you use this phrase. I think it's funny that it's still called a duck blind, even though I'm sure no one has hunted ducks in centuries.
I was like, no, this makes so much sense to me. Because I feel like there are so many words that we have that are just a word to us that at one time meant something very specific. You know, I feel like that's half of like Merriam-Webster's Instagram posts is like, did you know that this word used to mean something very specific and now we still use it to mean that same thing, but like without looking into the etymology, you would never know this. So I'm like, Data's the only person on the Enterprise who knows why it's called a duck blind. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. And it's really funny because I feel like I was reading about some color that was like, this used to be a very specific shade and now it's just like a general word. And I'm just like, interesting. But I don't remember what word that was. So anyway, but that makes sense. I don't know why that didn't occur to me when I wrote this note where I'm like, a duck blind.
Yeah.
Computer, tell me what's going on with #Ruthless next month in July.
Next month, the Gayly Planet is going to be on vacation because, you guys, every year Jesse and I are like, we're going to sync up our vacations. And then every year our vacations are completely out of sync. And then we have like long ass stretches of time where we can't record. And that is happening this month, and therefore we will not be able to have episodes for the month of July. However, our Patreon schedule remains unchanged. Those episodes are already recorded. So patreon.com/#Ruthless if you still want to hear from us next month. But also, our next zine goes out next month. So if you are already a patron or you are about to join our Patreon, make sure you message us and be like, I want the zine, because we will send you memes in the mail. You do that by sending us a message through Patreon with your mailing address saying, I want the zine. That's it. And that is available to patrons at all levels, including the sticker club only and support only tiers. Everyone gets memes in the mail.
Yeah, who doesn't love physical mail?
It's like Instagram on pieces of paper with no horrors interspersed amongst the memes. Like, imagine.
I know. Think about how in the future you'll feel when everyone is like, oh, we actually can't use Instagram anymore. And you're like, I've been getting memes in the mail.
Yep. Yeah, so that's July.
Computer, what's going on with #Ruthless this month?
I'm so glad you asked, because this month is Pride. I don't know if you guys know this. It's the gayest time of the year, and also the time that we do the most bonus stuff, aside from maybe Halloween might be equally as intense. So we're doing so much bonus stuff. This is also when we try to make more money to like keep this project a little bit more sustainable. Part of doing that is we do a merch sale. Everything in our shop is 15% off, including the limited extras from our sticker club, which they never get reprinted. So like we have a limited number of those designs, and they're available until they sell out or until the end of the month, whichever comes first.
And then you will be able to get your Pride merch by supporting independent queer artists and not a terrible corporation pandering to you.
Yes, exactly. Like most of our merch at this point is either handmade or it's stickers that are printed by Sticker Ninja, which is like a very queer, very cool company. So supporting queer people all the way down, you guys.
Yes, we have also kicked off summer camp in our Justin Patreon.
So great point, Jesse, because most of our Pride Patreon stuff is available to all of our members, including the free members. So like our newsletter this month is available to free patrons, and our summer camp episode about hairspray will also be available to free patrons. And the Beer Bat episode went out on the public feed. So that one is available to everyone.
Perfect. And then for folks who are like, wow, I'm really going to miss you in July, we have summer camp from last year and also our entire Patreon back catalog, of which there is untold amount of hilarious things in our archives. So now is a good month to join our Patreon and support us.
Yeah. And if you join for $21 or more, Jesse will send you an affirmation, recorded, personalized, tailored to you. When you join, just send us a message being like, this is what I need an affirmation about.
Yeah. And check out the show notes for our website and our Instagram, where we have more in-depth information about all the things that we're doing this Pride Month. And if you're looking at online list of like, wow, what kind of things should I enjoy for Pride? Recommend us. Recommend the Sunbearer trials. Recommend John Waters movies. Like, recommend, things that we have covered and be like, oh, my favorite podcast has also talked about these things. Thanks.
Yes. If you're in like the Star Trek Reddit and people are like, what's Pride Star Trek stuff? Hello. Here we are. Tell everyone. Tell your friends. Tell your parents, tell, whatever, spread the word. Yeah. We would appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Tell randos on the internet, especially.
Yep. Please do. Great. Okay. Next segment. Welcome to the holodeck, where we talk about aesthetics, and there is an image roundup for every episode. So click the link in the show notes if you want to see what we're talking about, or if you're on Patreon, open the email that you got about this episode, or you can look on Patreon. And if you want the images to be right in the video, join our Patreon so I can pay someone to do that. Thank you.
Yes.
What do you have first?
My first thing is that I find it really funny that it's like they're sort of like Vulcans. And what that means is that everyone has the exact same bangs. Like they have like genetically just straight bangs in a way that I find really hilarious, but also really interesting. And so I have a screenshot of our Vulcan-esque people. Everyone just has the straight bangs. And I'm like...
it's so funny.
It's so funny.
Also, all of them look like non-binary people who live in Brooklyn. Like, they have the gayest haircuts. Every single person in this fucking colony has the gayest haircut you've ever seen. It is so funny.
Yeah, folks, if you're looking for some gay haircut inspirations, just check out the screenshots from this episode. Take it to your barber.
I do want to say, I think that Strange New Worlds backs up the straight bangs genetics claim, because when Spock gets turned into a human, his bangs change, like, immediately. It is like his hair is suddenly up. And it's not like they did his hair while he was passed out. I mean, actually, maybe the aliens that did the transformation did do his hair, but like the bangs go back down when they successfully turn him back into a Vulcan. So
it's very funny. Maybe one episode we can get into the like, what? Why do we think that is? Not this episode, but
no, not this episode.
Oh, that's all I had about the bangs. All right.
Okay. Everyone, if you haven't recently watched this episode, I really, really encourage you to look at the image of Riker's stealth outfit, because I had to pause because I was laughing so hard. It is so funny. And none of the villagers are wearing what he's wearing. He is wearing like pea soup. No, not quite. Green.
A very bright green.
Yeah, very vivid green shorts, above the knee shorts. They're great. They're great, honestly. But then he's wearing Robin Hood boots that are at his knee, and they are all the way open. That truly could not look sillier. I feel like normally if you see these boots, it's just with leggings, and I don't know why he's got the shorts and the boots, but it looks so fucking funny.
I think it is really. I think if the shorts went like level to the edge of the boot, it would look fine. But listeners, it's like the boots go up to his knee, and the shorts are maybe like 3 inches. And the shorts end 3 inches above the boot. So it looks like he is just wearing pants that are just much too short for him. It just doesn't make any sense. On top of his very rustic Ren Fair, like woven knit blue sort of shimmery vest over a like white peasant top-ish sort of situation. Yeah. They both look like they made their costumes and are going to Ren Fair.
It is so fucking funny. And I also just could not stop thinking about he's climbing around on rocks and stuff with, again, the top of this boot is like a funnel. And I was like, when you inevitably get stones in those shoes, it will take you 45 minutes to get your fucking shoe off to get the rocks out. I don't, what is happening? That is not a shoe you can take off on your own. Like, you have to have someone there who can get this off for you.
I mean, not to mention, this is in a desert area in the daytime, and you're wearing knee-high leather boots. Your calves are just drenched in sweat, and I'm like...
That's why the shorts may be for airflow. I don't know.
so improbable, because you would want longer pants and shorter boots versus the opposite.
I know. Oh my God.
And he's like carrying a sack of what is presumably cloth, but it is just... The whole effect is thrown together Halloween costume a little bit.
It is. They spent all of their prep time getting their faces modified, and then someone was like, shit, the clothes, and just went, I don't know, to the holodeck play pretend costume room that I assume they have on the Enterprise, and then we're like, this'll have to do. And it's like, it's something. He looks like someone did his outfit while they were doing Exquisite Corpse, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what do you have next?
I really just had Riker and Troy's Ren Fair outfits because it's...
I mean, all the villagers look like they're going to Ren Fair.
Yeah, I think maybe part of it is theirs seem more cohesive, and Riker's outfit just seems so out of place. Like, not out of place, but it's so much sillier than everyone else's Ren Fair outfits, which makes sense if you're like, everyone's weaving their own cloth and they're making their own clothes and presumably growing flax or whatever the equivalent is here. You know, it looks more cohesive on everyone else as what the villagers is what I'm saying.
Totally.
But yeah, very Vulcan at Ren Fair is the vibe, everyone.
Yeah. And that, it's whatever. They look fine. I'm like, is that what people wore during the Bronze Age? I don't actually know what the Bronze Age entailed. I honestly feel like they all look like they're dressed to be in Beauty and the Beast, which was definitely not set in the Bronze Age, but like, whatever. Okay, I only have one more thing. I don't know if you noticed. The village leader lady that they beam up to the Enterprise, she's got these pigtails that both go down her back, and at the bottom, I can only describe it as handcuffs. There's these two like inch tall metal cuffs that have a bar across between them that connect her pigtails. It looks weird. I mean, yeah, it's not something where it's like, ooh, that's cool. It's like, huh. And then all I could think about was like, her hair is constantly being snagged. Like, that has to be miserable to have on. Because, like, I feel like one hair at all times must be, like, caught in that and being pulled, you know?
It could be. I mean, she is the leader. Maybe it's like, I'm not doing as much manual labor as the rest of y'all. Because part of me is like, well, that would be sort of practical to keep your pigtails from falling around your head. Sorry, I have not had pigtails since I was in elementary school, but I'm like, they go around sometimes. So
I mean, I feel like they're like a pretty good way to keep your hair contained.
I did not.
They're braided, obviously, or it's actually like a twist. There's a name for that, but it's just 2 strands instead of 3. They look lovely, but I'd be pissed as hell. Also, so that's got to be heavy. I don't know. I was just like, that looks miserable and weird. That's what I have to say.
All right, I think I did not notice it, so I'm just like, oh, interesting. I'll have to go back and check it out.
Yeah. Welcome to the Observation Lounge, where we talk about things that are fucked up / ethics today, I think, mostly.
Yes.
So yeah, we basically have an ethics battle. We have Crusher, who's like, medical ethics demand that I bring this man up to the ship and heal him because we are responsible for his injuries, and we can't, like, in that case, we can't do the wildlife documentary approach to the Prime Directive or whatever, because it's different. And we have Picard being like, Prime Directive ethics, whatever you want to call that, is really fucking clear, and you have violated it. And they're both correct, which is, interesting.
Yeah. I think it's hard because I'm going to be honest. My immediate thought was like, Crusher, I see where you're going, but I think you should let that dude die. Just because of the potential ripple effect of saving this one dude could potentially cause a like religious war that could kill millions of people because you were like, but this one guy, you know? And obviously you don't know what can happen, but I think considering what we see happen in this episode, I'm glad that they sort of find a solution, you know? And maybe, well, and you can't predict again who 200 years ago on this planet, they're going to be like, actually, I think that one dude was right. Maybe we should be worshiping Picard, you know?
Right.
But I think part of the Prime Directive is it's like, we have seen this happen enough in the Federation's members past that this is a thing we really do not want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So I understand where Crusher is coming from. I don't think that was the right call.
I think you're probably correct. And I think that the episode handles that by being like, his kid saw it too, so it's a moot point. So we don't have to spend too long thinking about this, because we know as the audience that the Prime Directive has been meaningfully violated for this community, regardless of whether Crusher saves him or not, which, you know, sort of absolves the conflict, which, I mean, makes sense because I feel like the religion part is like more of the point of this episode as opposed to the Prime Directive violation part. It's all one thing, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fact that that scientist is still on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So they have this other very clear issue that's going to arise because they can't locate him, listeners. One of the we missed the context for like all of that. Okay. So like I said in my summary, the one guy gets injured. He gets electrocuted when he's found the duck blind and he touches something metal. And, you know, Bronze Age, his shoes are leather, no rubber soles. And Crusher saves him by beaming him up to the Enterprise. However, he was with his daughter, who is hiding behind a rock and sees that happen. But then also, when all the scientists got electrocuted, one of them jumped out the window and is now like hiding in a cave. So they can't find him. So they're like, he could cause this issue also if we don't locate him. I think that's kind of the primary reason that they send Riker and Troy down to the planet, is to locate this dude.
Yeah.
/ try to convince this guy that he's actually crazy and didn't see what he saw.
Very unsuccessfully, I should say.
So they should have sent Guinan. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah. I know she would have said no. She's like, that's not my fucking job. That's not why I'm here. But like, she would have handled this flawlessly.
I have a solution to this that we'll talk about later, but
okay.
That could have solved this. Anyway, yes. And you're right. There is a point where it's sort of like, as soon as that the main guy saw the blind and got electrocuted, it was already, the Prime Directive was already sort of broken. And right, they couldn't just leave some random human wearing a space age suit on this planet. They would have worshipped that guy instead, you know?
Right.
So it was already a pretty fucked situation.
Yeah.
Not helped by this.
No. And again, I mean, I think that overall you're correct that they really shouldn't have abducted this man. The other thing that I thought was so interesting is that the anthropologist who is okay, who's on the ship, is really quite bad at his job, because he's like, you got to go back down there. We got to save that guy. It doesn't fucking matter. Who cares about the Prime Directive? And I'm like, surely this is Anthropology 101, is like, you might die in the course of this. Things might happen and you have to follow the Prime Directive. And this guy's like, why would we do that? And I'm like, why is this your job? What the hell are you talking about?
Especially considering how many 2 to 5 people scientist teams end up dead in start, like across the board. You're just like, you should know when you go into this, the possibility of you being injured, killed, assimilated, eaten. I don't fucking know, because I feel like it happens all the time. Like so many plots are like, oh, this husband and wife team are doing science, and now where did they go? We have their logs, and it's just like, you should know going in that this might happen.
Now their kid's a Borg.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I feel like Picard is sort of making the best out of a bad situation, even though I'm still like, I feel like the repercussions of this, y'all cannot even predict how this is going to play out in 200, 500, 1,000 years with these folks.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I think have one short other point here, which is we establish right off the bat, well, yeah, when Riker and Troy go down, that this is a matriarchy. It's like the women are in charge. And it's like the writers were like actually incapable of incorporating that into the plot, because we have almost no women present. And it really is just a bunch of dudes making all of the calls. They keep making a point of being like, we can't find the leader lady. But even before she gets beamed away, it's just a bunch of men yelling at her. And I don't know. I was just like, you guys, get some women in your writer's room, for God's sake.
I know, please, for the love of God. I mean, I do think their one leader hopefully managed to convince them. And I think out of all people present, she was the best person for Picard to talk to, even though I'm like, this still seems risky as hell for you to be like, I'm just a person with technology so advanced, you think it's magic. And I'm like, sure, okay. Like,
I know. That's the next segment, though, yeah? Yeah, no, I think my point was really just about their inability to actually meaningfully write a matriarchy, you know, sort of out of the context of the episode. Well, you know what I mean. Not in world.
Honestly, I feel like watching these early seasons, I think in general, the amount of world building when it comes to these like alien these cultures on different planets they keep going to seems very, I mean, obviously you're pumping out 25 episodes a season. You're probably not thinking too deeply about the social structure of this society. But yeah, it seems like there would still be like, well, if she's in charge and y'all have a matriarchy, then she'd be like, hold on, why are you yelling at me for this? Like, we should figure this out using logic, you know?
And where are the rest of the women, you know?
Yeah. Especially in this like weird tavern. Like, what?
I know. I think it's their like village hall, I think. Yeah.
Even more. Like,
yeah.
There isn't some grandma who's like, hold on a second, y'all. Let's talk about this.
Right. Even the elder that they turn to be like, you have the wisdom of the religion. It's a man. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Ready Room, where we dig into stuff. Kick us off.
I'm glad everything turned out, at least in this immediate, for the better. I don't know if Picard made the best choices he could. I don't know if those were still the good choices to make.
He made the best choices according to him. I don't know. I was like, as risky as this anthropologist guy's plan is, I really do think the Gobi Moses option would have been both more effective and easier, you know? Because it's like, oh, religion could like ruin their society, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so write down the shit that you think will be the most helpful and effective. Go give them your stone tablet and go home. Like this.
Oh, interesting. I actually have to disagree, just because that is such the ways that those could be construed and misconstrued given, you know, human history about religion.
But Picard has that context, right? For making the decision around what he wants to like tell them.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think it makes sense to me for him to try to talk to her using logic and sort of a context where it's like, well, you know, your ancestors would look at you and be like, oh, you know, it's magic. I guess I'm just really don't know if bringing her aboard the Enterprise was a good idea. I'm like, I don't know about this part of your plan. And like, you know, sometimes your instincts are incorrect. And I'm like, Picard, some of what you're doing is fine, but this is...
I think he's acting out of panic because the idea of being seen as a god is just freaking him out so bad that he's like, I have to do anything to stop this. But I don't know. I mean, other options, pretend to be a ghost. Like, I don't know, do something. But like this, I don't know that this was it, because as we see, you know, okay, so listeners, they beam the village leader up to the ship because she's like the smartest, and Picard's like, look, space and science, but, you know, allow me to make a comparison that sort of makes sense. Like Jesse said, he's like, what would your cave dwelling ancestors who didn't even have a bow to hunt with think of you now? And now make the comparison of where you are now to where we are, and it's the same thing. And she's like, oh, yeah, I get it. Okay, so can you bring my friends back from the dead? And it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, did you really think this was going to work? And then we have this anthropologist woman who just like takes one for the team by dying in front of this woman to prove that Picard can't bring people back from the dead.
Yeah, I feel like it's important to lead with, we literally do not have the power to bring back people from the dead. This is not what this... Because when she said it, I'm just like, oh, maybe you should have, maybe not prefaced it with that, but to be like,
But why would she have believed him? They already know that they brought the dude back from the dead, as far as
that is true.
any of them are concerned. So she's just like, why would you lie about that? That's so weird, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard because I'm like, I guess I'm not sure what Picard is supposed to do in this, and honestly, in this instance, especially because it goes to human sacrifice so quickly, like in the matter of hours. It's like,
I know.
Oh no.
I know.
But yeah, no, you're right. He definitely is just panicking and just trying to be like, I could fix this. And I'm like, it seems like you're making this worse, actually.
Yeah. I don't even know. She gets it after she watches the scientist die. She's like, oh yeah, you are just a person. But then like no one else in the village believes it until Picard like takes an arrow to the shoulder. He is ready to die to stop these people from worshiping him as a god, which also seems excessive. But even that, it's like, why couldn't a god do that if they were trying to convince you that they weren't a god for some reason?
That's true. How much mythology is like gods being human, looking human, and doing outrageous things, and it's just like.
Also, one of the things that I thought about, if these are proto-Vulcans, their blood is green, Picard's blood is red. Notoriously, gods in ancient mythology have different colored blood from humans. So it's like, is that even helpful to be like, look, he gets wounded and bleeds just like us? Gods notorious for coming back from the dead.
This is also,
even if it takes thousands of years.
You know, I gotta be honest. You know what I keep thinking about?
I don't.
Okay, listeners, about to go on a bit of a journey. So there's this science fiction show, Red Dwarf, where it is about this singular human who, through some sort of accident, everyone else on his ship dies. He is saved, spent in animation, and he somehow is like woken up a million years or two into the future. So there aren't any humans, and this is a show where there aren't even any other aliens. So it's a very much like we're all on a ship. And this guy had a house cat when he got onto the ship, and he was like, he would tell the cat, I'm like, we're going to do this work, and then we're going to retire to Fiji, and we'll have a hot dog stand. It's going to be great. When he wakes up millions of years later, his cat, who survived the whatever happened to the humans, evolved into a humanoid race. But there's one cat on the ship who was like, yeah, there was a bit of a religious war about, you know, Fiji being the promised land, but everyone, like, the war was about what color were the hats at the hot dog stand gonna be, and that was pretty ruinous for us. And then the two factions just like left and went in opposite directions. And I feel like I keep thinking about that during this episode, because I'm just like, Picard's doing the best that he can, but you really just have no idea how people are going to interpret anything that you say, especially out of context. And it's like, if you don't have enough context to be like, well, Picard came and saved this guy, and I heard him looking for someone, and clearly this is what the Prime Directive is for.
Right.
But I'm just like 1,000 years, these people there's going to be a weird sect of this community who is like, no, I believe that we did have the promised one came, and it was Picard, and y'all are just don't see.
Right. And I mean, we have these people who are in the Bronze Age who now are basically like, okay, well, the end goal of a species is go to space. And so how is that, even if they do understand these are just aliens and whatever, they're more advanced than us, even if they completely get that, their entire trajectory has now been shifted towards, okay, well, what we got to do is go to space, you know?
Which is
how is that going to affect them?
It seems really iffy, honestly, because right, that does in fact sort of change, like that could be the entire driving force of their society now, where before maybe they would have meandered into being a warp society, which we know is when the Federation's like, okay, we can kind of make first contact. But now, right, that is going to change a society in ways that literally no one can predict.
Right.
And maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad. It'll probably be some mix of both. But just even having done that in a way that it wouldn't have happened feels uncomfortable.
Right. And I mean, I think if we're thinking about, you know, factions breaking off and stuff, the people who are super dedicated to going to space when they don't even have, you know, electricity yet or whatever, are going to eventually, I think, probably become weirdos. It's going to be a cult of people trying to get to space, and everyone else is going to maybe be like, fuck going to space because it's associated with these religious weirdos, you know? I don't think he fixed it as much as he thinks he fixed it, which is why I don't know. I'm like, if the options are give them some commandments or do what Picard did, I'm like, I think you could have done less damage if you just were like, this is my final appearance and my, you know, message for you is here's how to grow the best crops. That's why I showed up, is to help you do farming, you know, like, and nothing else. Like no rules about how to live your life. Just like, I'm just the god of, you know, farms. And we had to save that guy because he actually knows about the sundial, and that's really important for farming or whatever, you know, like, I just think he could have figured out a way to be a god in the least like invasive way possible and just left and never come back.
He just is like, be excellent to one another, and then he leaves.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think really the only option would have been covertly killing the one scientist left and just like trying to beam him out, but whatever. Anyway.
But then we still have dude's kid who saw him get abducted and saw the duck blind.
I guess it depends. Like, I feel like it seems like,
I guess she could have turned into the village weirdo.
Yeah, I'm like, one teen girl versus like her entire village. It's just like, what the fuck are you saying? You know?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true.
All right. Since we're talking about it, The Simpsons solved this problem by, there's an episode where Homer's abducted by aliens, and the aliens are like, we are going to abduct 2 presidential candidates and we're going to replace them. And Homer's like, oh my God, I got to tell everyone. And they're like, they're not going to believe you. So they dump him into a boat where he was like fishing at night. And they just dump a bunch of beer on him. And he's like, no one will believe you now. And that exactly what's happened. He was like, oh my God, I was abducted by aliens. Everyone was like, okay, drunkie. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, this actually maybe would have been the best solution, is to be like, we're going to synthesize some of your local alcohol, because a very common thing that societies have, and just pour a bunch of it on you. And people are going to be like, oh, okay, sure, aliens, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so the title of the episode is called Who Watches the Watchers, which, you know, is a common saying about how do we check people in power. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me in looking into this that's the prime the prime directive is the Federation's answer to that, to keep this like incredible power you have in check, and like obviously giving other planets a fair chance to just develop without sort of this outside interference. Because I was kind of thinking about it, if you had someone like these anthropologists who, I don't know, lacked ethics or just really liked power, you could fuck up so many planets, and it would be a while before anyone noticed, honestly.
Yeah, there's an episode of the original series with basically that premise,
which is horrifying to think about, because like, right, this was an accident, and Picard tries his best to fix it, but it's still, untold sort of ripples and for these people's future. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh, this would clearly be maybe a top concern for the Federation, is to be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, and like clearly we see a lot of captains. You get to the captain age, you see people are just like, oh no, the prime directive is really fucking important. We like can't break that. Obviously, television show, this happens a lot. Infamously, Janeway, it's almost a meme about her breaking the prime directive, but very unusual circumstances for Voyager, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I'm like, okay, they're actually doing a pretty good job of sort of keeping their own sort of incredible powers, the incredible political, cultural power that they would have, which is sometimes planets aren't as advanced as they are, in check. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just like, oh. It hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point.
I really need to watch the original series. I'm glad that there's an episode about that, because, yeah.
I think you should watch DS9 first.
Fair.
It took me a very long time to watch the original series. It's not bad, but it's like not that engaging. you know?
Yeah, I think I watched the first 3 episodes on a plane, which was very interesting and very strange.
Yeah. Anyway. Welcome to the crew quarters, where we talk about sexy stuff.
Oh, I guess I did miss the one sexy thing we have in this episode, so.
I have 2.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so when Troy and Riker beam down to the planet, Riker's walking ahead of her with his 10 million mile long legs, and she sort of like jogs and catches up with him and is like, get fucking behind me, and explains that in this society, like, a woman walks in front of a man that, you know, is hers or whatever, and Riker's like, oh, to be like, this one's claimed, and she's like, no, to be like, if you want his services, you gotta talk to me. And Riker's like, what kind of services? And she's like, all kinds. And Riker's like, they are a sensible race. And I was like, this man essentially is saying, I would love to be a courtesan, actually. If I wasn't in Starfleet, that's my runner-up job. That sounds fucking great. I would love to be a kept man / courtesan.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I mean, I was just sort of like, man, he loves a femme in charge is what he loves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, what an icon.
I love him.
I know.
And then my other thing, and this is so subtle, and maybe I was wrong, but so there's this moment when Troy is still on the planet. She's sort of being, you know, kidnapped, whatever. They're like, we're not letting you leave until we find the dude you were here with and the alien that he stole. Yeah. Because Riker has rescued this other scientist, and they beam back to the Enterprise. And so Data is talking to Troy on the communicator and sort of trying to locate the leader so they can abduct her. And he's like, you know, are you around other people right now? And Riker's standing behind him. And Troy sort of is trying to quietly, surreptitiously communicate. And she's like, mm-hmm. And Data's like, turns to Riker and was like, is that a yes? And the look on Riker's face, and he's like, that was like, yes, that was an affirmative. I was like, this is her sex sound. Like, I know he always looks like that, but his facial expression just really heavily implies like, oh yeah, I know what it sounds like when Troy does a like not super verbal affirmative.
You know, I had also noted that, and I was just like, this is an excellent scene. But yeah, that you are so true. That is definitely a like.
It's the like, keep going. Mm-hmm. Riker's like,
yes.
Oh yeah, yes. I know that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. William Riker is here for the sexy consent.
Yeah. Welcome to Engineering, where we talk about science and research that we did.
All right. I only have one thing here.
Okay.
Which is primarily research. All right. So obviously, I think at this point, a lot of us are familiar with the phrase, who watches the Watchmen, especially, you know, as a very common phrase of being like, yeah, who is keeping people in power accountable? Who is holding them accountable? So I looked into this phrase. It's a Roman phrase, but here's the weird thing about this phrase. So it comes from this Roman poet. So he has like really famous, like we have preserved these sort of poems that he wrote satirizing life in the Roman Republic, essentially. But so who watches the Watchmen is from a stanza section of poetry where he's essentially telling someone not to get married because women suck. And this line is specifically about, oh, how are men going to stop women from cheating? Because women are clearly just cheating on dudes. And it's like, oh, well, how are you going to prevent her from cheating since you're so easily swayed by womanly wiles, essentially? And that's the context of who watches the Watchmen.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that fucking what? It's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, how did that how did that evolve in the way that it did? That's fascinating.
I mean, I think contextually, you know, Watchmen, a guard, and I mean, again, history is full of people behaving badly with power. So I kind of see where it sort of evolved into a.
I guess I mean, how did it like get from that poem and that context into its current context is really interesting.
Yeah, I should have looked up the etymology of this phrase, but I did not do that. But yeah, I'm just like, that is so weird. This same guy gave us the bread and circus line that if you're a Hunger Games fandom, you're familiar with. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. We did it.
We did it.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to check out all of the things that we're doing for Pride and to join our Patreon so that things can be so much better around here. And also so someone else can do the video editing before I burn out and we stop doing it abruptly because people are really into it. And I am so tired. Anyway, so yeah. Links in the show notes /patreon.com/#ruthless. Thank you.
Do you want to go through the rest of the stuff or no?
Yeah. And besides looking at our website, #ruthless.com for, you know, the roundup of all the things we're doing and our shop and our sale, you can also find us on Instagram at #ruthlesspods. And this show and all of our shows are produced, mixed, and edited by me. Jesse is the co-creative director and the Riker Data combo to my Picard, and our tedious taskmaster Elise takes care of many of the most tedious parts of making a podcast. And until next time.
To beam up.